Help, I'm pushing up.
Rotate.
Bruno, they're rotating back. They're rotating back.
They're gonna go. Just rotate, guys. Just rotate. Give it up. Just give it up.
Right.
Nice. Rotate.
Greetings and welcome to episode number 6 of the Rotation with Zhack and Murph now. It's got to be the Rotation with Zhack and Murph. He's been in the past 2 episodes. That is my best friend in the entire world. I love that dog so much. He means the world to me. He's everything. He's the best dog in the entire world. I had to introduce him to all of you beautiful people out there and have him in the intro. Like I said, welcome everyone to episode number 6 of the Rotation with Zhack. We appreciate you all tuning in, all the comments you've been making, viewing, following me on Twitter at Zhack16, YouTube Zach Warhack, and sharing everything with your friends. I've had a blast doing this. Call of Duty has been incredible. It's given us a platform to talk and work through the entire season, and stage 1 is over. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, the snap of a finger, Stage 1, it's over. We have a lot to talk about today. We're hopping right into First Blood as per usual, and I'm talking about the Stage 1 Major. We're in for one hell of a season. Straight up, that's it. That's what I have to say. We are in for an incredible season after watching the Stage 1 Major. It was awesome. Everything lived up to the expectations of myself. I don't know about everyone else and all the viewers out there, but the Stage 1 Major lived up to my expectations. It provided the rivalry matches that we needed and wanted to see between the best teams. We were in for a great final, despite the format of the final, possibly. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, absolutely. But no matter what, with the players talking about it not being the same environment, and that this was online, it's not on LAN, we dropped a match, we lost, and all the excuses, everyone is dealing with the same thing. I know you might not necessarily be on an even playing field because your connectivity to a server could be different than another team's, and like you have higher ping and this and that, but everyone is dealing with online. Everyone is struggling through it. We're all going through the motions together, and it is what it is. Like, we have been dealt the cards, we have them in our hand, and we have to roll with the punches and power through it. Like, everyone else is doing their job. The broadcast team has been working countless hours day and night. They're working remotely and putting together one hell of a show. They've added a lot of new stuff, and it's been incredible for a viewer. The biggest one is the map pick and ban and veto process. Like, they just drew that up and got it into the final few days of the major when everyone is asking for it. They've been working hard. The players have been working hard. There's no excuses. Like, this is what we're dealing with. Despite everyone saying, you know, online sucks, it's not the same as LAN, it's what we have to work with right now. We have to enjoy Call of Duty, enjoy the competition, and deal with it. To play devil's advocate with myself, because I'm a solo host here on the Rotation with Zhack, I get it. I understand the perspective of pros saying it's not the same environment as LAN because it is completely different. It's probably pretty hard to get hype in your bedroom. Like for me, I would wake up about 400 square feet away from my setup where I am right now. I'd wipe the crust out of my eyes, roll over here, grab my Scuff Impact, turn on my PlayStation. Shout out Scuff Gaming, by the way. We love you guys. Turn on my PlayStation. For these guys, it's PC. And I'd be like, oh, man, got my cup of coffee ready to go here. Okay, what's going on? We're playing FaZe today? Oh, shoot. All right, let's get it, boys. Let's get it. Like, I understand it. I get that that's hard to maybe get hype at your house to whereas, like, when you are on LAN, the second you get to the venue, you got your beats on, you're locked in, you're like, yo, let's go. Like when you see pre-games in the NFL and the NBA, like when Odell Beckham has his headphones on, he's making one-handed catches, bobbing his head around, dancing to the music, dapping up teammates, getting hype before a game when he's warming up. And when these guys are like butting heads with each other saying, let's go, all of us. Today, boys, it's us against them. We work hard. We work hard enough. We're going to make it happen. Believe in one another. Believe in those around you. Let's get it. And then they go out and they just start killing each other on the field in the NFL. Like, that's how LAN is for Call of Duty. They arrive at the venue and it's like, yo, it's game day. We're making a run today on LAN. We know we got to play LA Thieves. We got to play Dallas Empire. Like, let's get it. This is grind time. and then you're zoned in, you're focused up, you're headed over to the side stations, you get a scrim in, and then you're on main stage. Like 3 o'clock rolls around, the broadcast goes, there's no excuses. You're on the main stage. And it's a lot easier to get hype on LAN. I get it, because while you're in that environment, in that venue, you don't have to worry about lag. You don't have to worry about server issues or latency or anything like that. Like, you know, the connectivity is going to be perfect and everyone is on an even playing field. So you know you're in that correct mindset. You're hype about that. You're prepared, locked and loaded. No excuses on that aspect of things. And on top of that, you have all your teammates right by your side, even though a lot of these teams are playing these online tournaments in the same place. But you have your teammates on the same side as you, and on the opposite, you see your opponents in the flesh. You're not just online joining a lobby and say, let's get it started up. I look across and I see Slasher, and I'm like, he pissed me off on Twitter last week. I am going to fry him right now. And you get in that mindset on LAN when you see that. On top of that, you have the crowd there at your home series chanting for you and saying whatever chant they do. You know, like the green wall, let's go Optic, or whatever any other team wants to do. You know, make it work. Like, let's go Empire. You're backed by your fans and you're in that environment, and that allows you to zone in. And then think about in the match later on, if you pick up a huge pivotal 2-piece or 3-piece that can swing a map, and you hear through your headset, through your noise cancelers, they're not going to be noise canceling when you have tens of thousands of people in an arena. When you hear, oh, after you do something, you get hype and you say, let's go. Like that, I get it. I understand that right now we're not in the same environment as LAN, and it's easier to get hype and prepared and feel like you're at a high-stakes situation, but you can't use that as an excuse right now. Like, these tournaments mean everything. You're playing for points, for seeding in the majors, and you're playing for $500,000 in the Stage 1 major. Like, I don't know what more incentive you need. I know this might be a little out of context, but I saw Krim tweet. He was like, yeah, it's just hard playing these matches for nothing. And I think he was talking about the normal stage matches where it's just points for seeding to get in the winner's bracket. But it's like, dude, like that means a lot to teams. If they're not making waves and you're finishing in the bottom half, you're making a loser's run for the whole tournament. Your back is against the wall. You're the underdog. You're not favored to win any major when you're starting in the loser's bracket. So I get it that it's hard to feel incentivized when you're playing at home for league points, and it's like, oh, we're just playing one match today and it's for 10 league points or however many it may be. But it's like that, it matters. You have to show up, but I get that it's kind of hard to flip that switch. So at the end of the day, I always talk about this. I don't like when people make points and don't take sides. So I know I just said I was playing devil's advocate, where I was understanding both sides of the story and giving each section. But I think it's BS that we're making excuses. You can find a way to get yourself hype online. Like, let's go. We're playing against these guys. This matters. There's 70,000 people watching on YouTube. I'm about to fry. So my first blood take to wrap it all up is that the Stage 1 major was incredible. Like, it exceeded my expectations. We had tight matches, the broadcast was incredible, and we got the creme de la creme for the final match. FaZe versus Empire, that's what we were asking for. Like, everyone wanted that, maybe Optic in there. Those were the juggernauts we wanted to see. Like, put the best against the best and let them play against each other and see what happens. By the way, FaZe, you look good as hell. My God. But I'm wrapping up my first blood take right now. It was incredible. I love the Stage 1 major. And to talk about all the excuses that are being made, you got to find a way. You got to find a way to get yourself hype up. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I understand where you're coming from. I'm listening to your argument, but I'm telling you, figure it out. We have a few more of these. I think we have 4 more, and then we have champs. Listen. Hopefully, the way that everything is going in the world, by April or May, everyone can get vaccinated, the world is a more comfortable place to be, and we can be on LAN again. Like, if we can be on LAN for the 4th major or champs, that will be the end-all, be-all for all of these players. Everyone will be content. Everyone will be happy with where we are. So we all got to be responsible in order to try and make that happen. because everyone wants this to be on LAN. Like, it's plain and simple. There's not anybody saying, no, the Call of Duty League isn't saying, no, we don't want to sell tickets. Just put it online. No, they want to sell tickets. They want fans there. Fans want to be there. Players want fans to be there to have the environment of being on LAN and feeding off all that positive energy. That's what we're looking for. Everybody wants it. Let's find a way to get there. I hope that the final majors and champs can be on LAN. Plain and simple. That's my first blood take. Now you know what time it is. Let's hop into the barracks news and notes from around the league. We got a lot of points lined up here for the barracks news and notes around the league. The first thing that we have to talk about, it's been literally the rave on Twitter. It's going crazy. Everyone has been talking about it. You can't escape it. Every time I refresh the TL, I'm going to hint at what we're about to talk about. I'm seeing no Zinni, no Winnie. Like, everywhere I go, I'm seeing it. So the first thing we're talking about here in the barracks, we're talking roster changes and a possible Rostermania this early on in the season. Can you believe it? We're starting off plain and simple. We're talking about Zinni. If you didn't hear it, the Toronto Ultra made a roster change. They benched Zinni, a.k.a. Methods, a.k.a. King of Chicken Parm, a.k.a. Chef Tony. They put him on the bench. He's in the challenger scene now, and they brought up Insight. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, I haven't seen Insight play too much other than scrims. I watched him the other day against Optic. He looked good. He did look good. Okay? I'm not going to discredit the young man. Like, I don't know his story. He doesn't know my story. But if I'm going to be saying something right now, my initial thought, and I think my still current thought, is Toronto, what the hell are you doing? How are you going to drop Methods or bench Methods, however you want to dictate it and connote it? How is Methods the one that you choose out of everybody? I talked about this on last week's episode of the Rotation with Zhack. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at Zach Warhack. But I talked about who I thought needed a roster change. And what I said, plain and simple, I said that, first of all, the Seattle Surge would be my primary pick to make a roster change. But then I talked about who else I thought I could use a change. And what I stated was I said, listen, I think the Toronto Ultra could use a roster change. Not because they're bad, not because they're trash, because the Toronto Ultra are a good team. But what does every team in the Call of Duty League want to do? They want to win. They are not there to be top 4, top 5, and like just gain some eyeballs on your organization every year. I don't think so, at least. That might be the case. But in my opinion, I think orgs and these players are trying to win. Some of them may be content with their roster and like friends with each other and think, oh no, let's just go out and compete. Let's see what we can do here. But in my opinion, you want to win a whole damn tournament. And what I said about the Toronto Ultra was the roster they had was not good enough to win an event. Straight up. They're a good team. They're a 4-5, 5-6 team to me. But Methods is not the one to drop. I was shell-shocked when I saw his tweet in the morning. After this first stage, he had a 1.03 KD. That's the highest on the team. Okay? I know KD doesn't matter. Yada, yada, yada. But it does. Like, if he's slaying out, that's his role. He's the AR. He's the Slayer. He's playing the objective on top of that. Like, he had a 1.03 in hardpoint. Then you look at him in S&D, 0.7. Sure, he knocks down there. But then he has a 1.07 in control. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's playing good. I'm sorry. I keep doing this every time. I always get confused when I'm looking at breakingpoint.gg. Shout out to them. They do great work. Methods didn't have a 0.7. That's how many kills per round he averaged in S&D. It was a 1.06 in S&D. He was the only player on Toronto to have a positive KD in every single game mode. So in my opinion, the only way that the Toronto Ultra are benching him is if there's something internal. Like, if he hates someone on the team, if someone on the team has a problem with him and it's just a roast fest back and forth, that's the only way I see you dropping Methods. He is the best performer on this team, and I was absolutely caught off guard and shell-shocked when I saw him tweet, before it gets out to anyone else, "I've been benched by Ultra for Insight." I thought, what the hell is going on? A 1.03 in Hardpoint, a 1.06 in S&D, and a 1.07 in Control. The only way that he is the one that should have been dropped is if there's something internal going on and he was the biggest toxic root of the problem. And from hearing people talk about teaming with Methods in the past, I find it hard to believe that's the case. Listen, I talked about it. Toronto, they had a hard regular season leading into Stage 1 Major. They won their first match against Florida 3-1, and then after that, Super Week was a disaster. They lost 4 straight. Then they showed up in the Major. They stayed resilient. They beat London 3-2, and they shocked everyone by beating the Minnesota Rocker 3-2. Ultimately, they got smoked by the LA Thieves 3-0, but at the end of the day, Methods isn't the problem. You're a terrible Control team. You're 2-6. Methods is your best player in that mode, I would say. It's between him and Cammy. That's the story. I talked about this, and I'm not trying to Listen, I said they needed a roster change. If I were to pick one person off the team, it would have been Bance. It wasn't working out with everyone. I feel like situationally and when stuff happened, he may have underperformed more than anyone. If you're going to make him a roster change when you're the Toronto Ultra, it wasn't Methods. He wasn't the person to single out. I feel like he was doing his job, and especially with the meta shifting now, with the XM4 being GA'd again, which we'll talk about later down the road, but with it shifting to a true ARs meta, where it's going to be the Krig, the QBZ, it doesn't seem that viable to me. Some players are using it, sure, it picks up kills, but when you're going to have the old meta from the Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 Ghost days, where your flex is going to run a third sub and you don't have a gun like the XM4 or Maddox, Methods is the true AR. He's going to fry. Insight may be disgusting. I don't know. I haven't seen him play. I have to do the eye test on him when I watch their first match coming back. But if anything, I feel like Methods would improve with the new meta coming up. It's crazy, man. It's a cutthroat business, a cutthroat industry. I don't think Zinni was the one to drop. We're going to continue to talk about roster changes, and the next roster change that I'm bringing up is what the hell are the New York Subliners going to do? Because this was plain and simple at the beginning of the season. The roster, it was going to be Hydra. But then he couldn't get his visa. He couldn't get out of the EU. So you have to scramble to put a roster together. You find Clay, Mac, Asim, and then this. I feel so cliche using this as a phrase, but you find this diamond in the rough in Diamond Con. The rookie is performing out of his mind. He is stellar throughout the season so far. Diamond Con has stepped up and proven himself to earn a starting role. So with NYSL and where they finished, top 3 in the major. In my opinion, you cannot make a roster change after that. I don't think you can. And DiamondCon and Clay are going to stay because they're the 2 ARs. So those 2 will be fine. That's the role that they play on NYSL, and that's where they're going to be. But it's so hard to say, Hydra got his visa. He's in New York now. One of you guys are out. Sorry, sucks to suck, but he was the plan. He's coming. And to preface this, once again, just like with Insight, I don't have too much information on Hydra other than word of mouth. I heard he was frying in the EU challenger scene. I don't know how good the competition over in EU is compared to NA. I don't know how greasy they get. Granted, there's a lot of these former pros that were playing in EU who run the challenger scene. And they have been, the guys from Mind Freak, I know they have been for years and years in the challenger scene, EU and APAC regions. But I don't know what the overall competition is like over there. And in my mind, Like, Hydra has to be absolutely disgusting for you to make this roster change. And just like I said, I don't know anything about him. The only situation where I see a roster change happening for NYSL is when the question becomes, can you win with the current roster or have you peaked? It's plain and simple. Do you think top 3 is the peak? Is it like this roster, guys? Like, we did it. We blew people's minds. But we're at our climax. We're at the peak right now. We're never going to win. We're not good enough. And I feel like that's hard for you to say to yourself. Like, you always want to believe we can win. Like, this group of guys, we can win. I know you always want to believe that, but you have to look inside yourself and say, can we? If they are thinking about a possible roster change for stage 2. Because it's like, I feel like it's now or never. Because the thing you can do, you can bring Hydra in, make a roster change, and that way you're doing it early. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you may be at a problem, which is the other question I pose. If the roster changes now or never, like, you don't want to go through a whole nother stage and be like, oh, okay, yeah. Then you're already deep into the league and you got catching up to do when you add someone new. So if you want to do it now, after that, are you going to have that great backup that you started the season with? Like, if it's a Sim or Mac, who's going to be there? I feel like one of them will get picked up by a different team who's underperforming. So New York, like, they are hard-pressed to make a situation right now, and it could make or break their team. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, though, with New York. It's Clayster. Like, he's back-to-back, and he has stepped into a veteran role on both teams. He's a back-to-back champion. He took these young guys with Simp and Abizi on E United, won a championship in Black Ops 4. Then comes to the Dallas Empire. You get Hook, Shotzi, and Illy, and you win another championship. Like, he's back-to-back. Jordan 96, 97. Whoa! Like, if anyone can do it, Clay can do it. That's the X factor in all of this, is what Clay thinks. I don't know who's running the roster there. If management is making the call like, yo, we're dropping you for you, or if Clay and the team themselves are the internal decision saying, listen, we're sitting down. Do we think we can win? Clayster says, no, I don't think we can win. We're putting Hydra in the roster. Sorry, guys. Tough shit. Like, Clay is the one to make that decision. He's the veteran. He has done it back-to-back years with young players and proven everybody wrong. He's the one who can do it. But what it boils down to is, who's it going to be? It's a Sim or Mac for me, and I don't think it's a Sim. I'm sorry, but he has made the plays and performed the best out of that duo, in my opinion. Like, when push comes to shove and there's been a crunch time clutch situation, a Sim has been the one there to make the play happen. Which is crazy because Mac was the guy that NYSL was built around last season. He was the poster child of the subliners. He was the man. And now he's had to step into a different role and play a little bit differently. And that comes with 4v4, but it also comes with the roster that you've put together. Like, Diamondcon and Clay are both gross. But I feel like if you just go down the line, a Sim 1.03 in Hardpoint, 0.97 in S&D, and then where he falters is control with a 0.9. And that's where you can go back and forth. Because Mac, not too far off in Hardpoint, 0.97. You go into S&D, Mac has a little bit of the edge, 0.99. And then you go to control, and that's Mac's best game mode. It's a 1.1. And the control is the swing map. And Mac has made plays where this team has won controls. Like, that's arguably New York's best game mode. They're 6-4 in control, 8-6 in hardpoint, 6-6 in S&D. I don't want to be in this organization making the call if I'm NYSL. That's too tough of a call to make. In my opinion, you give it like the first half of stage 2 and see how you're performing. I don't know if you take it all the way to the second major, but if you do, then after that, you got to be ready to perform and bring Hydra out. At this point, NYSL is either waiting for a Sim or Mac to underperform, or they're just going to do it right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below and on Twitter at ZHack16. New York subliners, should they bring in Hydra, yes or no, and who should they sub Hydra for? Toughest situation for a team to be in my opinion. We got 2 more teams to get to. Seattle, they need to make a roster change to me. Like, it's urgent. I don't know if they want to give it time and see if things improve, but I just think, like, I mean, they haven't played great. They've won one series and they beat London, who's the worst team in the league. London has not won a series. Seattle has won one series. I know there were high hopes for the Surge coming into this season. Like, these guys have played together before. Octane and Looney have won together. They've won with Gunless. And then Pristini, like, we know what he can do. But something's got to give with this Seattle roster. Something's got to give. Something's got to take. I don't even know if those are the lyrics. I just felt like singing that. But that's the story. You're 3-7 in hardpoint. So you're off to a tough start when you get a series started. You're 500 S&D, and then you're trash at control. You're 0-6. Like, it's plain and simple. I'm not here to be a big personality on the radio like some of these guys and make people hate me. I'm just telling it like it is. You haven't won at control. It's not your game mode. You're 0-3 on Garrison, 0-3 on Raid. That's it. You got to get better. The question is, internally, where do you find it? I think a lot of people are going to point fingers at Pristini because his KD. 0.85 in hardpoint, 0.79 in S&D, and 0.73 in control. Like, that's pretty bad. But you also have to think about the situations that Seattle are in. You're trailing in a lot of maps. You're down at hardpoint. You're losing rotations. Who's the break man? It's your SMG running through the map, trying to find the break. It's Pristini. Like, you haven't given him a chance to get hot. You can't drop Octane. He's the poster child, and he's still performing. I don't think he's padding stats like some people are saying. Like, he's not doing that. He's just gross. 1.1 hardpoint, 1.12 in S&D, and then a 0.9, which is the highest on the team, a 0.94 in control. At this point, you have to find someone who's like going to help Octane slay out, or you have to find a disgusting sub. I think it's time for Seattle to go into the challenger scene or pull someone out, and like it's going to be, I think it's Looney or Pristini. I don't know if Gunless is worthy of getting dropped, and I don't know who the top AR would be in challengers or from someone else who you're going to pick up. It's pretty imminent, though, that Seattle need a roster change. Like, you got to start winning at some point. Since their existence in the Call of Duty League as a franchise, they haven't been good. They were one of the worst teams in Modern Warfare last year, one of the worst teams in Cold War this year. You have to make a change, and the time is now. Seattle's got to make it happen. The last team who does and did, London Royal Ravens. The rumor is Haggy is out. I just saw on Twitter like 30 minutes ago before I started recording, he took London Royal Ravens out of his bio on Twitter. And the rumor is that they're picking up Paul X from the challenger scene, formerly on Westar. And then we know the crazy drama that happened with them where Zapdius got dropped and like that was his team to begin with. And Paul X and those guys stayed there. So the challenger's talent, we've talked about it. It's there. It's up and coming. Paul X, he's going to be one of the first to make it into the Call of Duty League. And he's going on the Royal Ravens. They obviously needed a change. They are the worst team. They did not win a series in Stage 1. The London Royal Ravens were the worst team. And they could be promising. Like, they could come out of nowhere and surprise people in the second leg. You think about Paul X coming, we'll see how they scrim and practice together and how that goes for him. But also, you're getting Zero. Like, he's figuring everything out, and he's going to be there. So the London Royal Ravens, their roster is going to be shifted a lot, and I think it's going to be good. Like we know, we saw a lot of people. We saw Alex, Dylan, Parasite, Shawnee, and Zed. So now Haggy's going to be gone for Paul X, and then we'll see where Trey goes. I feel like Shawnee's been the best performer on that team, but like London could be a team to watch out for. They've battled in hard points, controlled their 50% or below that, 2 and 4. And then S&D, they've just been getting smoked, 1 and 8. They've made 3 series close. They've had 3 3-2s. One of them was against Dallas, for God's sake. And the other one was against Toronto in the first leg, first elimination round of the major. I like the move in management for the London Royal Ravens. They are the first team to be proactive and make a roster change. I think it could pay off for them when push comes to shove. I think we're going to see a lot more roster changes. We're going to see talent go from team to team, and we're also going to see talent come out of the challenger scene. I'm excited for who's there to play. I want Havoc to get back into the league as an SMG. I think he could be one of the guys to make it back on a roster. I would love to see Mox, Nagafin, Saints, someone from the NYSL Academy, someone from Westar, Zapdius. Like, these guys are all cracked in the challenger scene. Mark my words, they're going to get a chance. Like, the CDL is a cutthroat business. Teams that are not winning after the second stage, they're going to be like, all right, we're doing something. You're dropped. Someone else, come on up. You look gross. Let's go. This is just the beginning of roster changes, and they're going to get a lot more hectic. I'm excited for it. I think some things are going to shift from team to team as we move on, and we'll get to that when it happens. Next topic to touch on now. I mean, I'm a broken record. We're talking about it every week. GAs are going insane. Like, it's crazy. I touched on the XM4 last week. I said it's nuts. You're taking the XM4 out. You're not doing anything to balance it. Like, what's going on? Like, it was a flex gun. It was like the Maddox. I get it. It's OP. Everyone's talking about it. But, like, I was upset with it because you're not making anything equal ground for the SMGs. Now the news has come out that we have. There's no nerf to the 74U, but we're making subs play without a lot of attachments. I think they can have like a grip and a stock on it now. Like, you can't have a barrel. They're not doing mags. Like, they're just making the 74U bare naked. So the XM4 is gone. People are testing out the QBZ. I don't know if the meta is going to last very long. It's just, I talked about it with the XM4. I said, how are you going to do this? The 74U can gun people cross map, and you had the XM4 as the flex gun, and some people still using the Krig. I understand now. The XM4, it was OP. Like, you'd have subs running it as a third flex, and I like where the meta is heading right now. I like how the meta is shifting towards the olden days, where we have one true AR in Slayer, and then two subs and a flex who is either going to run that AR or the sub. So I think what we're going to be seeing now is the QBZ and Krig, depending on preference for these ARs. But when push comes to shove with the flex, it's going to be they either run two Krigs, two 74Us, or three 74Us and a Krig or a QBZ. Like, it's not a bad meta, but I like the versatility. I like having two 74Us, the XM4, and a Krig on the map. Like, it changes things, it shifts strats and everything like that. But a lot of these players, they don't like that. I heard it on the Optic podcast earlier this week. Formal and Scump were talking about it and said, listen, I know it's going to piss people off, but vanilla Call of Duty, it shortens the skill gap. Right now, the XM4 was lengthening the skill gap, is what they said. Like, anyone could fry anyone. Any people who didn't deserve to pick up a three-piece were picking up three pieces. To whereas in a normal gun, what they're talking about, like if everyone was running Krigs, that wouldn't happen. Like, when a gun is so good that it makes people better, that's when you have a problem. And I talked about it with Methods. Now that the XM4 is gone, I think he would have been better, but they dropped his ass. Maybe not a good idea. So what you run into with the problem here is the fans. Because Scump and Formal said this on the podcast. They said, I know people aren't going to like to hear it, but vanilla Call of Duty is better. It brings the skill gap out, and it shows you the true test of talent and who's actually good and who's actually not. Like, some of these teams where it's like anyone could win and you were seeing upsets, it could be from the meta, and they're just like frying. They're good on that meta with the XM4, and it's equal playing field because everyone can fry with the XM4. Everyone can shoot it straight. But when you make it where it's like a Krig or a 74U, like that, there's only two guns to use, and people don't get as much of an advantage from a gun, that's when you're going to see matches going this close to being expanded all the way my entire wingspan. It's like the good teams are going to fry, and they're going to shit on you. And the teams who, could have won with the XM4, they're not even going to come close now. That's what Scump and Formal were saying, but at the end of the day, I feel like we're playing for the fans too, is what a lot of people will argue. They'll say, yeah, you like Vanilla COD because the skill gap, but we don't care about you. We care about it being excited for us to watch. And that's where we could have a problem. Because you want the highest competitive integrity. You also want to make it enjoyable to watch. What's it going to be? Like with this, you can't have one or the other. You're going to leave the XM4 in and make it exciting for the fans and see these crazy comebacks, these teams who aren't that great winning matches. Or you're going to have it where like the truth is the truth and the teams who are frying are going to fry on you and the teams who aren't. I think having it be the most competitive integrity, like that's what everyone wants, but the fans might not enjoy it. So that makes it a challenge. And kind of segueing off this, talking about GAs and where we are now, I want to talk about the meta shift and how this happens every single Call of Duty. What are we doing taking 3 events to figure out a meta? Like, we need to have stuff set in stone, like while we're scrimming or at worst after 1. Like, if we're GAing things all the way up to champs, what the hell are we doing? We can't have it happen. Because, listen, disclaimer, Atlanta FaZe is disgusting. I think they win no matter what the meta is. I think they're so good, so talented, well coached, and they know what they're doing. But just for example's sake, imagine that the Atlanta FaZe, they're only good with this XM4 meta. Like they win and it's like, hell yeah, we're good. And then the meta shifts to where it's just Krigs and 74Us. And then they're trash and another team is good. And then after the second major, that meta shifts to something else. And it's like, who's actually good? Like, are we going to be changing the meta all the way to champs? And at the end of the day, at the final scene, when hopefully we're on land for champs, we aren't even going to know who's going to win because we don't know who is good at the meta going into champs? We can't have it. We got to figure it out. Figure out the meta at the early stage of the season and have it happen. We've seen the same thing for years and years. Like back to Infinite Warfare. We had the OSA for a couple events, and it's like, holy cow, what are we doing? That thing is disgusting. We can't use it. Then we finally, towards champs, found out we're just using the ERAD, NV4, and K-Bar. Like, to show who is good and who is actually good, we got to figure out the meta earlier on. With everything happening, all these GAs, I'm getting sick of talking about them. Like, let's figure it out together. End of story. I'm done talking about it today. I need a sip of my coffee. It's freezing here in Arizona. It rained today. It's 40 degrees. It's miserable. I'm not going to complain, though. I am right now. But I shouldn't complain because it's going to be 110 degrees in a month. So I'm done with that. The next thing, sort of talking about meta also, we're testing out new maps, baby. And I like it because there's some maps, trash. So what we've seen through scrims, mostly with Optic, because they're really the only ones who stream scrims, we've seen Apocalypse Hardpoint, and we've been talking about Express Control. I think I like it. I mean, I think we need to figure out Express S&D too, because right now people are, talking about what S&D do you want to remove? It's Garrison, Miami, or Checkmate. I think for S&D, probably Garrison. I love Garrison as a control map and a hardpoint map, I'm not going to lie. But S&D, it's like, meh. I really like Miami for a S&D map. Everyone has complained and moaned and whined about Miami since the beginning of the game. I think it plays really well for S&D. It expands the map. It makes things more exciting. You can take different strategies and say, listen, we're going to play tight and hit top hotel here, top purple, or we're going to play long sightline on beach and use our ARs. Like, I think that Miami brings out a lot of competitiveness and strategy change and all this good stuff. So I think I like bringing a couple new maps into the set. We just got to figure out where they're going, what they're replacing. I'm excited for it. I like it. We're going to get expansive. Are you crying? Are you hungry? Murphs is hungry, guys. Here he comes. Say hello. Say hello, everyone. I'm going to feed you in a little bit, buddy. No, you can't have my coffee. I know you love coffee and pup cups. In a little bit, buddy. Okay? All right. Just like 30 minutes and then we'll eat, okay, buddy? It'll be a good dinner tonight, too, I promise. So I'm excited that we're testing out Express and Apocalypse for a couple different modes. I think we need some freshness brought into the game, and we'll see how it pans out in Stage 2. Talking about new maps coming into it, I think we're going to start talking down and breaking down the major and what we've talked about. And a big thing that's separating a lot of teams as we get into talk about them is the map pool. Like, teams expanding their map pool and what they're good at is extremely important. It is going to make or break teams seeing that happen. The best team who does it are the ones who won. Atlanta FaZe. They can play you on anything. They'll play you on Crossroads, Gary, Checkmate. It doesn't matter. They're frying everywhere. Like, they were 8-0 for all of Stage 1. They destroyed everybody. You want to know how their matches went in the finals in the Stage 1 major? 3-0, 3-0, 5-2. They were clearly the dominant team throughout Stage 1. No one can take that away from them. And the reason why is because their map pool is so extensive. They can play you on anything, and teams need to focus on this more and more. I'm going to bring up the bracket right now for you guys so you can see it here. Check this out, and we're going to run through it while I finish talking about map pools. But there are some teams that are very one-dimensional, and they get beat before the match even starts in picks and bans. It's like, okay, they're really good at this hard point, this control. We have 2 bans. We're going to take you off here, play you on here, and you're done. Like, you can win series like that, and you heard it on Hard Points, the BTB boys talking about it. They talked about Optic beating themselves in round 5 against NYSL right over here through picks and bans. Like, Optic chose not to play their strongest game mode, and they paid the price for it. They got 3-0'd. I know I already broke down the first couple days of the major, so we're just going to talk sort of about Saturday and Sunday and what I thought happened. Atlanta FaZe were disgusting throughout the entirety. Like, the winner's final right here, the key to the match for them and what they had to do, they had to stop Huke. Like, Huke was frying. He was the best player in all of Stage 1 until the 2 matches against FaZe. Then Simp showed up. Then Abizi showed up, and they shut his ass down. Like, Huke was the man. He's the MVP for Empire, and Atlanta FaZe were able to play against that really well and silence him. That was the key. Like, if they could shut down Huke, they knew they were going to find their first bloods in S&D and pick up, reads on the map during hardpoint and control. And then it just comes down to slaying out and communicating, which is something I also want to talk about. While we're talking about this match and this series and this team, Atlanta FaZe are disgusting. They are the best team in the game. We've talked about Arcides being the hugest pickup on planet Earth for this team. It's monumental. His leadership and the qualities that he brings makes this team so much better. You heard it in an Astro Gaming listen-in. Throughout all of it, he was like, all right, settle down, settle down, settle down. We're going to get into this. We got this. Let's start frying. Let's go. Like, that there is veteran leadership. That's a play that he made that could calm everyone down, stop the chaotic comms, because it just snowballs. When you get chaotic, you get nervous, you're down in a match, it spirals out of control, and you end up losing it. His leadership is so good, he's able to maintain his roster, keep these guys in check, and control everything. That leadership is great. We heard Crowder talking about how well they've been practicing, and that's what separates them from other teams. Like, from scrims to matches, their attitude is the same. Like, they get on every day and say, listen, we're going to fry, we're going to try and improve. You have to be the same person. You got to practice like you play. It's the old mantra, the old cliche. You need to practice how you play. The Atlanta FaZe, from what I've heard, they've done it. It's like, yo, we're going to put our minds to this, and we're going to grind for 3 hours during scrims, and we're going to take it seriously like matches. Other teams may not have the same mentality and get a little scattered in matches, and that could cost them. Right now, Atlanta FaZe are the best in the game. Granted, I think teams are going to learn, teams are going to improve, they're going to find their mistakes, and that just excites me for the future stages because it could close the gap, and we could be in for one hell of a season. That's why we're talking about it now. That's why we're excited about it now. Everything else that happened, like I talked about NYSL, they impressed against LAG. I saw Optic beating Thieves, and then you get to that losers round 5. This is where NYSL may not be able to make a roster change. They smoked Optic. A lot of it may have been from the veto process. By the way, shout out to Call of Duty League. That is the coolest thing ever. Being able to see the vetoes of this team, to know what we're going to play and who picked what and why. That is incredible. So thank you for doing that. So NYSL, they were just frying on that day. They felt a little bit of momentum, and they smoked Optic. On to the losers final, like Empire weren't going to lose that match. The way they got beat by FaZe, they were pissed off and ready to come back into it and destroy somebody, and it just happened to be the subliners in their path. We step into the final. It was FaZe's to lose, and they weren't going to. They were the best in the game, like all year long. We're going to take a look at it right now. Excuse me. And pull up the Atlanta FaZe stats. You see all this green? That's called winning. 8-0 on the season. They dropped 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 maps in this stage. That is incredible. Damn near perfect in S&D, 11-1, 9-4 in the hard points, and 6-3 in control. Like they are disgusting. They are a force to be reckoned with. Simp and Abizi are just raw talent. They are the best SMG duo in this game, and as the meta may be shifting, like SMG duos may become more prominent. That may be when you see those teams gaining an advantage and stepping away from a pack in the standings. Simp and Abizi, Envoy and Scump, Shotzi and Hook. Like those are the first ones that come to mind when you talk about SMG duos. And with the meta shifting, I think that's what's going to set teams apart, which means Atlanta FaZe, they're only going to grow and get better. It is absolutely mental what they did in that final series. There was never a doubt in my mind, and we're going to talk about it right now. Trying to assassinate Krim on the final life and teabag him and shoot bodies and everything. Oh my God, storylines are so good. The storylines are so good. I'm so excited to see how everything pans out for the rest of the year. Shooting bodies in the final of a major? What? Let's get it. Those teams meet again, there's going to be some bad blood. Those teams meet on LAN, it's going to be crazy. Right now, FaZe are cracked to me. There's a lot of good coaches in the league. There's a lot of good teams in the league. FaZe are the best team right now to me. The reason why, the map that wins series, that wins championships, S&D, they're the best in the league at it. Plain and simple. Like in football, defense wins championships. Basketball, defense wins championships. Call of Duty, S&D wins championships. You know who's damn near perfect? The Atlanta FaZe. They are cracked at S&D. They're gross in respawns. Like, they are hard to beat. I feel like teams will have time to catch them and maybe figure some stuff out, but right now, heading into Stage 2, I don't see anybody competing with the Atlanta FaZe. The Grand Finals, they were exciting. It was fun to watch. Talking about it, we got to have a chat real quick. We might have to figure out a new format here. I think I like the best of 9 personally, but the problem is there's not a real advantage coming out of the winner's bracket right now. Plain and simple. The thing is, if you come out of the winner's bracket, you need something a little better. I believe the advantage for the Atlanta FaZe out of the winner's bracket in the Stage 1 Major, I think they got the first veto or an extra veto in the pick and ban process, and like that ain't doing it for me. That's not a big enough advantage to be 7-0 going into the grand final. That's what you get as the advantage? No. There's a couple different scenarios we need to talk about, and I'm going to bring them to light right now. Either you keep the best of 9, and the team out of the winner's bracket starts with a 1-0 map advantage. That's factor number 1. Factor number 2, you keep it best of 9 how it is, like that's it. Factor number 3, you go back to the olden days, 2 best of 7s. If the team from the loser's bracket wins the first, we reset the bracket, we start over, the second best of 7 decides everything. I think from the Call of Duty League and fans' perspective, they won't like that one because they want to see the most Call of Duty played, plain and simple. But at the end of the day, I think if you're going to sweep a 5-0 and a best of 9, I think best of 7 is the best. Because a 1-0 advantage straight up is just kind of weird to me. I feel like to start the match, you should be on a level playing field, which you are if you do the best of 7. Like you start 0-0 in the best of 7, But the team from the winner's bracket just has the buffer where they have a crutch. It's like, all right, if we get fried this first series and lose 4-0, that's all right. We just hit the quick reset button. Boop, we're back in it. Second best of 7. Make adjustments, and let's go. We saw Optic win champs that way in IW. They ran the 2 series and won it. So you either got to do a best of 5, 2 of them, or a best of 7, 2 of them. My personal opinion, I think you do 2 best of 7s. You give the winner's bracket team an advantage of having the whole series. Like if they lose the first one, they're fine. They're good. They can bounce back. That makes the loser's bracket run that much more incredible too. Team makes a run in the loser's bracket, wins the first best of 7, they get a reset, they have all the momentum. They could win a second best of 7 to win the championship. Right now, the best of 9, it ain't it. The advantage you're giving the winner's team with the first veto or whatever they get, that ain't it. A 1-0 advantage in a best of 9, that's weird to me. Don't do that. Either 2 best of 5s or 2 best of 7s. That's what I'm saying for the format. That's what we need to see in the majors from now on. Heading into stage 2, I am more excited than ever. Let's bring it back up on the big screen. These are our new groups for stage 2. Let's give a favorite here. Boop. Love you, Call of Duty League. Oh, like it. There it is. So let's run through these real quick. Group A, you have the defending champs, the Atlanta FaZe, LA Thieves, New York Subliners, Toronto Ultra with the recent roster change, LAG, and the London Royal Ravens, the worst team in the league. So you have the best and the worst in Group A. Then in Group B, you have Dallas Empire, Optic Chicago, Florida Mutineers, Paris Legion, Minnesota Rocker, and the Seattle Surge. Let's break it down. I know we're running out of time here, so I'm going to give my quick run on what I think of teams right now. Atlanta FaZe, they're the best. I'll give it to you straight up right now. Group B, Group Bravo, is the group of death here. Like Dallas, Chicago, Florida, even Paris are a sleeper. And Rocker, I'm going to talk about them in a little bit. They disappointed me. But those top 4 you see, and maybe even the Rocker, like that's pretty deadly. You're going to see some tight competition there. In Group A, like FaZe Thieves have been so streaky. Like they're either good or they're bad. NYSL, they're going to be battling a roster change or not, like figuring that out. Ultra just bounced off a roster change. What are they going to be, good or bad? I think Methods would have been the play, but I haven't seen Insight play too much. I already talked about it. LAG, like they can win matches. I don't know if they can win a championship. And then Royal Ravens, we haven't even basically seen this team because they're going to be brand new. The Empire, I think they're one of the most well-coached teams and have some of the best leadership in the team with Krim. The way they got smoked in both series, in the winners final and grand final, you bet your ass that Krim is going to learn from that, and the whole team is going to learn from that and bounce back in a big way. Dallas Empire will be a different team headed into the next stage. Optic Chicago, I think they're still one of the best. Like, they just need to find consistency and not shoot themselves in the foot, and they're going to be great. I'm excited to see what the Mutineers can do. I'm excited to see how the Legion bounce back. The Minnesota Rocker have been disappointing to me. I feel like they need to have a sense of urgency. The way they lost to Toronto in their best mode in the S&D, like that ain't going to fly with me. I'm not going to let you slide with that. I had a lot riding on the Rocker this year. I said they were my dark horse, one of the best teams in the league, and watch out for them to contend for COD champs at the end of the year. Right now, they don't seem on the path for it. Like, they disappointed me throughout stage 1, I'm not going to lie. Seattle Surge, the last team, like, I think they need to find a roster change. We are going to have some competitive matches. We're going to have some of the rivalries we wanted to see. It's going to be who shows up when push comes to shove. The 2 teams I want to highlight, LA Thieves. They've been streaky. They need to find consistency. Like, you wake up and you're like, I feel the Thieves. And then they just don't perform. Then another day you're like, man, they got smoked last week. And then they start frying. We got to find consistency with the LA Thieves. The other one, I just talked about it. The Minnesota Rocker have to have a sense of urgency. They got to clean up hard points and win their S&Ds like they should be. They're one of the best teams in Search. I think that the Minnesota Rocker, though, they're one of those teams that benefits from this SMG meta that I believe will be incoming. That's my takes right there on where groups stand. That's what I want to see out of everybody, and I don't know if it's going to happen. Like the Minnesota Rocker, Attach, Priesta, Major Maniac, and Accuracy, like that, they got a couple good subs there. I feel like they're going to pick it up and start frying, but they have to prove it to me because they didn't throughout the first stage. That's how the pools are breaking down. I'm excited. We're just about a week away from stage 2 starting. I love it. We're going to talk about the matches for the opening week. We'll talk about Pick'em. Listen, I ain't going to leave you guys hanging. I'm hitting you with a double dose of the rotation. Getting you with it right now. We'll give you another episode before the matches start, so don't get stressed out about that. We're going to wrap up the show real quick. I told you we're bringing it back this week. We didn't have time for it last week, and we're running low on time today, but we're still going to talk about it. It is time for our new segment this season, and one that we've had some good feedback on. Overkill reactions. Let's get it.
Overkill reactions around the Call of Duty League.
Right now, let's talk about what I think people are going ballistic about that they need to settle down about. And things I'm hearing on the Twitter world. Little birdies telling me stuff here and there. I'm going to tell you what I think is overkill from the takes that I've heard. The first one is that the game is in a good place and competitively, we got good integrity and it's peaking with GAs. Overkill! We have not found a balance yet. The meta has not been settled. We don't know what we're going to be playing months down the road in champs. Figure it out. The game is not in a good place right now. Like the next couple weeks, through stage 2 at the latest, you better have the game we're playing on for the end of the year. Plain and simple. Figure out the GAs, figure out what we're using, figure out what's good, so I know what teams are good, what teams are not good. Because I guarantee you, from the XM4 meta shifted to now, teams who didn't perform as well are going to be great. And some of these teams like Atlanta FaZe, Dallas Empire, and Optic Chicago, who were good, they're going to be even better because I think the SMGs are the focus with this new meta incoming. Figure out the meta, okay? Plain and simple. The next one, I just touched on it. I've seen that the Rocker are fine. I hate to do this to my team I took as the dark horse, but overkill! The Minnesota Rocker need to show a sense of urgency. Like the way they lost to Toronto in the major, that frightened me. They got to pick it up. They got to get better. I don't necessarily think it's time for a roster change because they're disgusting, but this meta should suit them. Like I feel like a true flex player is coming in here, and with Accuracy, Priesta, Attach, Major Maniac, like you're touching all the boxes. You got a good AR, good flex, good SMGs. The SMGs need to shine for the Rocker. They got to clean up hardpoint, stay sound on their search. They need to have a sense of urgency, though, because they were falling apart towards the end in the major. I'm going to be true. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you when I'm wrong, and I was about the Rocker. I'm worried for them. It's time for them to get better. Last one. After that loss to New York Subliners, Optic Chicago should be worried. Overkill! They're fine. Optic is okay. And a big part of it, broken record Zhack again. The meta is favoring Optic. You have Formal and Dashy. Formal is one of the truest, best ARs in the game. Dashy's an incredible flex. Scump and Envoy are a nasty SMG duo. They are in for an incredible ride with the new meta that's shifting. Optic are going to be fine. That is overkill to say that they should be worried. I'm excited for stage 2, baby. Those are overkill reactions from stage 1. But before we end the podcast and we head into stage 2, we're forgetting something. What is it, guys? I can't remember. I think I need a little help from my good friend Scumpy to tell me what I'm forgetting. What do we got to do here, Scumpy? Who do we got to figure out? What do we have to figure out? Oh, that's right. Who's the best in the game? This is plain and simple. If you don't know who the best in the game is after stage 1, like Figure it out. Focus up. Get your mind right. Watch more Call of Duty because this man's disgusting. A 1.22 overall KD. A 1.12 in hardpoint. A 1.65. No, I did not stutter. 1.65 KD in SND. The next closest is Big Wake with a 1.37. And finally, a 1.26 control KD. It's the man himself, Simp. He is the best in the game through stage 1. Absolutely phenomenal. He has all the intangibles, and he fries on top of everything. Simp is the best in the game. He and Abizi, his own teammate, they're battling, those two and Huke, for who the best SMG is in the game. Right now, it's Simp, though. Like, he does everything. He has a 13% first blood percentage in S&D. His counterpart, Abizi, 29%. They're combining for damn near 45% first blood percentage in S&D. This guy is the best in the game. We knew when he was a young talent, too young to be in the Call of Duty League, that he was going to be special. Then he comes out his first season with Clay, wins a world championship. Makes it to the grand finals of the World Championship, the second year and the first year of the Call of Duty League. Like, the kid is disgusting. Simp is the best in the game. Everyone, that's going to do it for episode number 6 of the Rotation with Zhack. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, leave a like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel, Zach Warhack, ZACHWORHACK. We're going to work on trying to get that changed. We're going to work on getting the YouTube to be Zhack now, or the Rotation with Zhack, or Zhack16. We're going to get it flipped over. But talk to me on Twitter. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me your take on everything. At Zhack16, that's ZHACK16. Once again, from me and Murph, the bottom of our hearts, we love Call of Duty, baby. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to episode 6 of The Rotation, and we'll see you next time. Peace!